Meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We're on our digital platforms here. Hit the reset button on some things, got some things taken care of behind scenes. We're continuing to watch this severe thunderstorm now move through parts of central Illinois, primarily focused on Champaign, Ford, and McLean County at this point. And we will get some more updates here in the next little bit. This storm right here has been a nuisance for us for the day. The storm moving south at 15 miles an hour now, moving close to Fisher and moving close to Bellflower and Foosland. This storm now is in the southwestern part of Ford County, the eastern part of McLean County, the far northwestern part of Champaign County, and it is something that we will continue to keep an eye on here for the next little bit. We do not have any active tornado warnings at this point, and that's the good news for us. We do have a number of severe weather alerts, though. The severe thunderstorm warnings is one, but we also do have flash flood warnings, and that's going to be for Ford and McLean counties as a slow-moving storm dumps a lot of rain. Rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour in spots, could be as much as 2 to 4 inches of rain in the warned area. And then earlier storms caused a flash flood warning in Iroquois County. Not a whole lot more happening up there at this point. The main focus is this storm that's moving to the south along the outflow boundary. We've had a lot of reports of 60-mile-per-hour winds and even some 70-mile-per-hour winds, and then we've had some quarter-sized hail with this particular storm, and so we'll continue to watch it closely here for the next little bit. Checking in here, the main part of this storm now, the worst of it seems to be near Gibson City to the south and west towards Bellflower, where this red shade is, though there's still heavy rain in Colfax. It's been raining in Colfax for a while now, and they seem to have gotten hit the worst up in those areas. As we look at the storm, they did just come out with a new severe thunderstorm warning that will extend the Ford County warning until 3:30. And that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail possible in the Gibson City area, down to the south and west towards Harpster, down to the south towards the Foosland Sportsman's Club. And then the severe thunderstorm warning for McLean and far northwestern Champaign County, really only including Foosland, is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball-size hail. Some of the storm reports we've had here, and I'll pull those storm reports up for you with this storm. I think this is the right button here. Couple of them coming in. We had a funnel cloud reported in the Lexington area, and then in Anchor, I think it's going to show me what this is. This was a 70-mile-per-hour wind report at 2:09, and then Colfax, we've had some golf ball sized hail reported in Colfax and Anchor area from this storm moving on through. So we're keeping an eye on it as it moves off to the south. There's been a number of these reports that have come on in as well, and the National Weather Service will continue to fill in those. Let's talk more about this severe thunderstorm here. Earlier, there was a tornado warning for northeastern McLean and southwestern Livingston County. The storm's out of that area, and also the rotation is not nearly as strong. There is some turbulence that's up there, and so the clouds are moving around and having a field day, but at this point, they're not looking like they are organized enough to produce a tornado. So we just have the severe thunderstorm warning with a tag for tornado possible. It's kind of that step before you get a tornado. You say, we're watching, keeping a close eye on it, but there's nothing that really sticks out to me at this point that shows that this would be a tornadic issue. So we've got the severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30 for Ford County, and I believe the McLean and Champaign County one also goes until 3:30. This storm continues its slow south movement, only at 15, maybe 20 miles an hour. At this track, it's going to come towards Fisher, very close in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Foosland, it's on your doorstep. We get down to Mahomet, we get to Champaign-Urbana, Rantoul, Thomasboro. Those areas, it will be moving close to maybe just west of I-55. This may end up hitting half of Champaign-Urbana with the heavy rain, the Champaign side. And it could be the Urbana side sees next to nothing here on that southward track. Really what it's doing is it's almost riding Highway 47 straight to the south. And that would carry it more towards Mahomet, Lake of the Woods, Mansfield, I think, eventually White Heath. It'll be very close to the west side of Champaign, though, with the heaviest rain and the hail threat with this particular storm. And so that's something that we'll continue to watch here as it moves on through. Let's go ahead and pull the Gibson City camera up real quick. We're starting to get some signs that looks like maybe the backside of the storm is sneaking on in, and that's good news. We can clear it out here. The worst of it seems to be to the west. The wind, though, is still pretty strong out there right now as this storm moves on in. We can see there's still lightning and thunder. The heaviest rain is now south and west of town. But there's still plenty of wind that's blowing in that area here on the north side of town, and unfortunately I just don't have the ability to turn this camera. We'd love that to be the case. That's just a a feature that we just don't have access to. But boy, that'd give us a good vantage point of that area if we could do that. You see the wind is still blowing around, probably some 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts with that storm as it continues off to the south at 15 miles an hour. We want to bring up the Champaign camera as well. The Champaign camera I've got at the studio is turned to the north, and I'm going to turn it a little bit, I think, here. There you can see the Champaign camera up now. We're looking more north and northwest. Give me a moment. I'm going to pan this more to the north and northeast. I want to pan it more to the north and to the west. And so that's what we're going to watch here. Okay, just got an update, 30 to 40 mile an hour winds from the ground in Gibson City. That doesn't surprise me. Now we're looking more north and west, and this is the storm that is causing issues in the Gibson City to Fisher area right now. So we got a good eye on it here from our studio camera now, and we'll zoom in on that and take a look at it here. This storm will be close to Champaign-Urbana. Really, Mahomet, to me, is probably in line for the worst of the storm here in the next half an hour. 15 mile an hour, folks, is all it is moving. Slow moving storm. These storms don't pick up and go like highway speeds. This is moving at this is slower than a Saturday stroll in the area. Okay, just got a report of a semi-jackknife 3 miles north of Gibson. Let me just... So that doesn't surprise me with the heavy rain and the wind. That could have been a factor. And so police are just getting on scene there. You're zoomed in on the Champaign camera looking at the lowering from that. We'll zoom back out and get an area-wide view. As far as tornado potential, at this point I'm not as concerned for that. We'll have to watch because this storm is riding the outflow boundary. And when storms do that, they're really taking advantage of some of the turbulence and, making things happen. But some of that reflectivity values are really showing some high numbers here. So let's go ahead and bring it back to Max 2 full screen. And you'll see here where this storm is at. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see Champaign-Urbana. This storm moving due south, kind of on the Champaign County line west of Mahomet is the center line, but Highway 47, Mahomet towards Seymour and Fisher. That's the areas I'd be most concerned at this point. Maybe Whiteheath and Mansfield, also in Piatt County, is where we'll have to watch this storm move on through. Moving to the south, I'll show you the last hour. Let's do the last 2 hours. It really hadn't moved much in the last 2 hours. They're just slowly moving to the south here. And that south movement still puts it in a favorable position for some rotation to maybe pick up as it moves to the south. So we're going to watch very closely for Fisher, Mahomet, Seymour, Farmer City, Mansfield, Bellflower, Foosland. Right now it's on top of you. You can see here, we'll stop it. There's Foosland. Right there, you'd have a good vantage point in Foosland if something's going on with that particular storm. Getting some pea-sized hail reports in Gibson City and some pea-sized hail in Bellflower as well. And so just checking some of these other reports here. I think at this point, Foosland has the best chance. We'll take a look at the hail as well, the hail size on here, just to get an idea. This is really good at plotting where some of that big hail is. Still there, it looks like some small hail in the Colfax area. I tell you what, Colfax has been seeing this for a while. It's going to be interesting to see the rainfall reports that come from Colfax. As you go through Bellflower, Foosland, Saybrook, this storm, you see some of these blues, that's usually about an inch. To 1.5 inches, you start getting purple shades in there. So there's probably some dime to quarter size hail that could be mixing in spots. Definitely some pea size hail. That's certainly very realistic with this storm as it continues its southward movement and even a little bit towards Gibson City based on what we're seeing. But the worst of the storm now past the Gibson City area. Let's give some all clears. It's been a little while since I've done that. Sibley, we'll give you all clear. I still cannot give an all clear for Colfax, Anchor, Cropsey, Saybrook, Aerosmith areas. I'll give it all clear. Roberts, Paxton, this is moving too far south. Ludlow. Soon, Rantoul will be able to give you an all clear in the south motion. Eventually it's getting to the point where it can't just stop and move to the right without some freak accident happening, I suppose you could say. That southward trajectory shouldn't help keep it out of Ranto, at least the worst of it. You'll still get some rain and some wind and some lightning and thunder with this. The lightning and thunder, too, has been pretty incredible with this storm. And you'll see here, notice some of these thunderbolts that are shooting out ahead of the storm. There's been some thunderclaps and some bolts of lightning that have landed in the Mahomet area ahead of this storm. And so certainly by now, I suspect that there's probably a delay either imminent or coming or already happening for the Champaign County Fair and the DeWitt County Fair in Farmer City. And so that's what we'll watch here as we continue to keep an eye on things for the next little bit. Okay, Bloomington normal, all clear for you. I-55, all clear. Iroquois County, you got some storms. The severe threat seems to be south of you with the storm carrying on through. But looks like, really at this point, Fisher going to jump in on the action and get some of the heavy rain and maybe hail. And then Mahomet as well, Lake of the Woods. And eventually it'll come close enough to Champaign where that may be an issue as well. Let's bring that Champaign camera back full. It's always fun to look at our Flooring America iNets and get a peek here. And a very healthy looking storm from our vantage point here. Kind of zoom in here. There we go, we'll give you a little vantage point. We're kind of looking at that leading edge of the storm. It's still a little far away, but the camera we've got it here at the studio is far enough up where we can get a good vantage point of storms that are coming on in. We've seen some good storms with these cameras here across the region. Well, we've got that camera up. I'm going to switch back to the Gibson City camera and show you there's still some rain coming down in town. But at least the worst of the storm is continuing its southward motion across the region. And so that's some good news for us here as we watch the storm take its south dive. A little bit of an abnormality for the day. We thought maybe early on, we'd be good. Maybe something would form in the outflow boundary. And that, in fact, ended up happening. The confidence really ramped up in that in the last couple of hours. I think about lunchtime or so as it moves off to the south. And so that's something we continue to watch and keep an eye on. Just saw a hail report in Fooseland. If you got a size is good. We like to know, quarter, nickel, dime, penny, throw a coin out there and see what it lands next to. Or if it's larger than that, then, maybe a ping pong ball or a $50 or a golf ball, things like that are good ways to measure this particular storm. Somebody's saying, hey, it's storming back up in Fairbury. What about us? Well, you can see here there still is some non-severe storms as moving off to the east behind this storm. I'm not too worried about that. And I would argue that this storm here is still one to watch in Champaign County. In fact, we just got an extension of the warning now. There it is. That new warning just came out. Is going to be for Champaign, Piatt, eastern DeWitt, and southeastern Sangamon County. Does not include Champaign-Urbana yet, but boy, it's close. Something else that catches my eye is you can see how it looks like it's trying to wrap back up here near the Fooseland area. So we will watch that trend and see what happens. But I'd be very interested in Fooseland and Fisher. If anyone's in Fisher, got a view to the west, south of Fooseland there in 136, kind of off in that direction. I'm going to pull that sky cam back up, the Champaign one. I'm going to look at that again, just kind of keep our eyes on it here. And we may end up double boxing that at some point to keep monitoring these things here. So here we go with the Gibson, the Champaign camera. Got to watch that closely here. Got to really watch that close. I'm going to zoom in. About where that's trying to pick up a little bit. You can see those raggedy looking clouds in there. Those are scud clouds sneaking on in. So let me just let me check my messages here. I got a lot of messages, and I need to kind of peek at them here. Okay, getting some pictures from folks. I'm seeing these as well. pretty impressive looks here of the storm. And so that's good. We've got eyes on the ground. People are keeping an eye on it here. The warning for the National Weather Service is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and perhaps some ping pong ball size hail as it moves to the south. And so we'll continue to watch and keep an eye on it here for the next little bit. Okay, got a report of a tree down in Gibson City. Let me just put that report in. Get that report carried on in. Okay. Let me pull that back up here real quick. Yeah, this is still a real good, healthy supercell carrying to the south. So Mahomet Seymour, we're going to be watching very closely for you. Fisher, you're getting on the edge of that. The worst of the storm seems to be up by the Foosland Sportsman's Club over towards Highway 54, far northwestern Champaign County. There's about a tenth of a mile stretch of Highway 54 between Gibson City and Bellflower. That's in Champaign County. That's north and west of Foosland. I mean, it's a small little segment there. That will be something we want to watch. So, okay, I'm going to take a let me just build this graphic real quick. I want to post something on social media and kind of talk about this storm a little bit, and that way we can get that taken care of. So let me see here. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to post this on our pages real quick and get it out real quick here. Okay, so it is 3:13 p.m. Excuse me. Okay, just got this post taken care of. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting this posted. Frequent lining. Let me just fix that one. Okay, so we're watching the storm now here coming down Highway 47 to be at the Foosland Sportsman's Club, the Sangamon River Bridge there. And we'll continue to watch this move to the south as it moves along 47. So this still could very much be a Champaign issue. Champaign-Urbana, the lightning and thunder, getting some reports of, hey, I'm hearing the rumbling, keeping an eye on things. And, we're watching too. I think at this point, the DeWitt County Fairgrounds and probably the Champaign County Fairgrounds are putting their weather plans in place. And if they're not, they probably better start thinking about it here. I mean, look at some of these thunderbolts that are out ahead of the storm. There's been strikes of lightning in the Leverett area. That's good 5, 10, 15 miles ahead of the worst part of the storm where this is. And so with the hail, I suspect there'll be some $quarter to $half size hail, if not larger, through the Fisher and Foosland area. If you have a size, we like to use coins or sport objects. Marbles, there's different size marbles. But, you can use this to kind of help us understand what the storm is doing in your area. And maybe some good news is I kind of tend to think that the storm might be trying to weaken a little bit here. I don't see nearly as much in the way of wind. And one of those reasons is, and let me just do a little looking here. One of those reasons is, in fact, this is also good news for the tornado potential. I think that at this point, the storm itself Oh shoot, I got that wrong button on there. Let me not close it. Right here, that white line, that is the outflow boundary. At one point, the storm was riding along the outflow boundary, and that helped it really spin up. Now the storm is behind the outflow boundary, so there's no really good unstable air for it to pull in. It still can cause hail, it still can cause wind, excuse me, but the hail threat and the wind threat probably coming down a little bit, and then the tornado threat when you have a situation like this really is close to zero. I wouldn't say it's zero, but it's good sign when the outflow boundary is racing ahead of that storm. And I put on here the radar background. Again, where that outflow boundary is sitting that outflow boundary is kind of sitting in that area there. There's nothing for that storm to latch onto and cause it to spin up. And so it's probably struggling a little bit at this point. Yeah, it's not going to just disappear, but that's maybe good news from what I'm seeing is as it carries to the south, maybe we're able to lessen the severity of the storm with due time. And that's something I think I tend to agree with. Still going to be some hail. In fact, I look at my hail size here, and we will see, compared to, let me go even just last hour and loop it here. The last hour really coming down in the intensity of the hail there because the outflow boundary seems to be outrunning it. And so that's something that is good to see at this point. Let's do a region-wide reset and talk about what we are seeing. First off, there's storm reports for the area. Some of the storms last night and early this morning caused some problems in northern Illinois, and then we've got a couple clipping into our area here now. As we look at radar, we got folks saying, well, what about me? What about my area? We just got this one little storm. It's just a nuisance at this point, and it's turning into a good rain of it more than anything. It's still raining in Gibson right now. There's some ponding in the grass. It didn't look too severe at this point. We'll continue its southward jog, but perhaps start to weaken and maybe bring some beneficial rain to areas that need it badly, especially if we can get it into southern Champaign County. That'd be a great situation for us here. Vermilion County, there's nothing imminent at this point, though we are watching behind it a new storm going up near Fairbury. Let me see here. There we go. We'll watch and see if these storms can do anything. Anything that forms behind that outflow boundary could take advantage of the cold air aloft and maybe bring a hail threat, but the wind threat comes down, and the tornado threat really still pretty small here at this point. So we're maybe looking better than we did 30 minutes ago, from what I can tell, by all things. Still some rain, getting some reports of hail in Foosaland. If you've got a size, I see the hail report. I'd love to do a size estimate. And so we'll continue to watch here. At this point, what I can say for the Mahomet area and Fisher, there will be some good thunder and lightning with this. Probably some rain. It may continue weakening as it goes south. Remember, it's only moving 15 miles an hour. So if you drive highway speeds up to Fisher, you remember, it takes me 10 minutes to get to Fisher at 60 miles an hour. Well, it'll take 30 plus minutes to get down to Mahomet proper. So that's something that we'll continue to watch and keep an eye on with that storm. And that may give it time to weaken even more. But if you got a hail size report, let me know. Let me know the size here in the area. Just got a new severe thunderstorm warning. We mentioned that hail core near Fairbury that kind of going up. That's going to be for Livingston County. Some quarter-size hail, and that's about the only threat this storm has up here. The wind threat less than 50 miles an hour. We're fairly stable at the surface, but this storm's tapping into that cold, unstable air aloft and taking advantage of it. We're down US 24 moving east. Fairbury, Forest, and Chatsworth now could get some hail in that area yet again amidst the rain that's already there. And I'll throw on the hail track real quick, and you'll see a little core going up there west of Fairbury. It's still something that we've got to keep an eye on. That storm's coming from Chenoa off to the east. And so size is good. We would like to know what size you're getting if you got that. We got some dime size and Gibson reported. And tag your location on it too. Getting some small hail reports out of Fisher area. Just checking as many different sources, and we got a lot of sources here, so there's a lot of different ways for us to get info from that. Okay, pea-sized hail being reported in Fisher. Okay, pea-size in Footsland as well. Just send that to the right chat. Okay. It seems like the hail size is coming down, which is maybe some good news at this point. But we're going to keep watching it, keep a close eye on it for the next little bit. Let's talk about the issues we've got here at this point. We've got flash flood warnings for Ford and McLean and Iroquois County, severe thunderstorm warnings for McLean, Champaign, Piatt, DeWitt, Livingston, and Ford counties. And those for storms that are carrying on through. We just got this little complex. It's just annoying to watch on a Saturday, but it looks even more disorganized. There's still some good rain in Gibson City on the back side there, but I think the severe threat pretty much done for Gibson City. We got to get the rain out of here pretty quick. And so it may be another 15-20 minutes of heavy rain in Gibson, and then things should wind down a little bit, I think, based on what I'm seeing. But there's more storms going up there on Highway 24. Certainly is something to keep an eye on here for a little bit. This storm moving south. Looks like we're going to get some 1-inch hail in Fairbury. This storm here, the hail size coming down, and so we may not really have to worry too much more. The other thing we could check too is lightning. And we're still getting some lightning strikes in Champaign now ahead of this storm. I mean, there's a strike that came in the northwest side, another one up north on 45 towards Leverett ahead of the storm. But the lightning intensity has come down a little bit. I mean, if I zoom back just a little bit, it looks like I think lightning only lasts 15 minutes on my graphic. Never mind. You see the storm here, though, coming into Fairbury. Probably going to be some quarter-size hail in there as well. That's something that we're going to watch closely here. I want to bring the cameras back up if we can. Whichever one we got, the Champaign camera, and I can double box it too, that's fine, or whatever you want, I don't care. So there's the Champaign camera. We're looking to the north. Let me zoom out from that a little bit here. Get another view from the sky. And I'm feeling good about where we're heading with this, of where this storm, what it's doing, where I'm feeling good that it's kind of in a weakening phase at this point, which is good news. There's still going to be some rain and some thunder and some hail, but at this point, my concern level is a lot lower. That's good news for us here. The storm base even doesn't look nearly as low as it did earlier, and that's just because it's in some cool air at this point. If I turn more to the west here, you can kind of see where those little cumulus clouds are off in the distance. Those cumulus clouds here as we turn, it's more west and southwest, the little towers there, that's the outflow boundary. Your rain-cooled air is pushed out ahead of this, and that's kind of choking the storm off, which is good news for us here. We've still got a chance for some hail, and we're still going to watch it, but we may end up wrapping up our coverage here in a little bit on our platforms because that hail threat coming down, the wind threat coming down on this Fisher storm. Do still need to watch Fairbury, probably some quarter-size hail coming into town there. And let's check our hail tracker and see what it suggests. Yeah, that color's coming up a little bit. You start getting those deep blues, and that gets up to 1 inch. And that's just a little bigger than 1 inch, so, shave off about 30, a third of that for the summer heat and whatnot. It's probably about quarter-size hail in some spots, maybe a little smaller in Fairbury. That storm, though, continuing to show some signs of strengthening. And there you go. You see that core picking up a bit. The good news, too, with this storm, I'll say, yeah, there's hail threat, the wind threat pretty low, but the tornado threat almost non-existent. I mean, that's in cool air here. And so that is something that we'll continue to watch. Okay. I meant to do this earlier. What's this doing to temperature? What's this doing to the heat index? Somebody asked the question, what about the heat advisor? Well, look what we got here. It feels like 70 in Watseka. It feels like 106 in Jacksonville, 106 in Mattoon. We're done heating up for the day in Champaign and areas that have seen the rain and clouds with this outflow boundary. It's pretty impressive to look at here. We look at actual air temperature. And actual air temperature, 83 now in Champaign, 71 in Pontiac, 93 in Springfield. The culprit is the dew point values. Good grief. We got dew points in the upper 70s. Some spots reporting low 80s. Tuscola is in the 80s right now for dew points. Muggy ahead of that outflow boundary. If you're wanting some relief, you want that outflow boundary to breeze on through and cool you off. Otherwise, you're in that hot, muggy, nasty air here that we're seeing across central Illinois. And that's something that we're going to continue to watch. Let's see, we got the Gibson City camera up now. And then you got the Champaign camera also. Okay, I see what's going on here. Let's go to Springfield. Let's take a little trip to Springfield. Show a little love to Springfield here. That should be on preview. There it is. It's a hot sunny day in Springfield. There's not much going on. I'm going to turn the camera in Springfield though, and we'll probably see the storms off in the distance that are coming on through. They're probably pretty impressive looking. This is looking west. I'm going to take it back around to the north and west and see what the view looks like. We'll probably also got a good view in Decatur. I mean, it's a hot 105 heat index in Springfield. You know, nasty, gross day where some spots are getting some rain, cool air in here. And that's helping to take care of things. Now we're looking more north. Now we're turning more to the north and east. Oh, I forgot that pole's in the way. Well, here we go. Okay. You can kind of see it. There's some cirrus clouds there in the way. Maybe I'll pull up the Decatur camera next. I'll take a look at Decatur. That one's turned down to the ground, so I had to turn that one here. I feel much better about where we are with the storm frame by frame as we get update by update. So that's good news here. We're not out of the woods, but we're definitely well on our way to having less and less problems here. So this camera's going to do a little turn in and then do a little pan in. Here we go. Got to manually pull that one up. This one looking north from Decatur. And you can see some of those little showers and storms coming on in here. It's darker over there. Look west from Decatur. It's just bright blue sky, hot day. So that's certainly something that we're going to keep a close eye on here for the next little bit. All right, so we're going to pull that radar back up for you here, kind of outline what we're seeing. The storm threat coming into Fisher it's trending downward, folks. That's good news for us here. Still bringing rain, which I know folks in these areas probably really appreciate. At this point in Gibson now, I'm starting to see some of the ponding of the water on the north side. So it looks like the ball field's got some water. Some of those spots tend to get some minor flooding when we get heavy rain like this. So that doesn't surprise me here, as we see. And then, excuse me, let me put the rain totals on here. We get a radar estimate of it. In the last 24 hours, you see these yellows and oranges. Iroquois County, really Indiana side's had even worse. Yeah, they've had some 4, 5, 6 inch reports. Eastern Iroquois County into Benton County, Indiana. The Anchor area, radar estimates 2 to 4 inches. Gibson City area at this point, radar estimates 1 to 3 inches. Probably 2 to 3 inches is where we're sitting there. I see storms move on to the south. The rain continue. I can see it in the Gibson City camera now. And so we may get closer to the 4-inch mark in some spots here in a short period of time, which will cause some flooding. It will not be as much of an issue as the August event, but still, you got to watch these slow events and keep an eye on them. And it looks like at this point too, the rain is beginning to clear out even more in the Gibson City area. So a little bit more heavy rain, and then let me turn this off, and I'll loop it for you the last hour. And you can see that eastward movement carrying it through. So we might be done with the heavy rain in Gibson City for a little while. Probably now, while this storm trends downward coming into the Fisher area, still some good rain there. That's good news. Boy, this storm here near Fairbury, just south of Fairbury, probably has good hail core in it. That hail core, I'm pretty impressed with that. Sometimes you get these storms that fire up on the back side, and they can, take advantage of that. Take advantage of the atmosphere with the hail threat, and that being issues. There may be some more hail in those areas that already had some here earlier. I mean, we're talking maybe pea size if we're lucky at this point here. So I think the hail threat really almost, the hail threat's almost evaporated, in my opinion, on this storm in Champaign County. If anyone's got any hail reports currently, we've had some pea size on Fisher, pea size in Fusland. But, that may be on its way out if that hasn't already ended for the region. Okay, folks, it is 3:30. Let's go ahead and reset on camera 1. We're going to wrap up our coverage on digital platforms here. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We're going to monitor behind the scenes. At this point, there's nothing to me that shows that this storm is nearly as dangerous as it was. But the trend that it's taking, the trend is downward in strength and severity. Lightning, thunder, still an issue. Don't get me wrong there. The hail, the wind, and the tornado threat we had earlier, though, really has come on down here. Just severe thunderstorm warning for far southeastern McLean, extreme northeastern DeWitt, northern Piatt, and northwestern Champaign County that goes until 4 o'clock. I'm going to watch here behind the scenes to make sure it continues this. We've brought our hail size down to 1 inch, and that may be very polite for it, and the wind speed down to 60 miles per hour. That also might be a little polite for this storm as it continues to weaken as it moves slowly to the south at 15 miles an hour. We're getting some thunder and some lightning ahead of the storm here in the Champaign-Urbana area. You can see these bolts being indicated. Let me turn the lightning back on real quick. Some strikes happening in town here, certainly. But the heaviest rain, the heaviest lightning and thunder is still north of Mahomet. But, we know by now the Champaign County Fairgrounds is probably closed for a little bit. Even the Farmers City of the DeWitt County Fairgrounds, probably a similar thing there. Any outdoor events are being suspended, but they should be able to reopen in the next couple of hours as these storms weaken and continue their slow southward movement here into the region. This storm up by Fairbury, we'll continue to watch it. It's got a lot more lightning with it. It's moving east. It's behind the outflow boundary in rain-cooled air, but the hail threat is mainly, we'll watch with that. A bit of a hail core now south of Fairbury. That'll be coming south of Forest towards Risk and Strawn, and eventually towards Chatsworth and points to the south on that eastward trajectory. That one might have a better chance for Roberts, Piper City. We'll see if it can sustain itself. Some small hail in there up to quarters, probably a issue. Gale reporting there's heavy rain and lightning in Fairbury at this point, but no hail with that storm. So we're going to watch these, keep a very close eye on everything here over the next little bit. Still have those flash flood warnings also in effect for Livingston, McLean, Ford, and Iroquois counties after earlier storms have come on through. So we'll watch and see that flooding threat, what happens with that. But certainly there's been heavy rain that's continuing here with these storms as they move through parts of our area. That wraps up our digital coverage here for areas further to the south. We'll continue to watch. If needed, I'll jump back on digital platforms. But I think with the storms the way they are, I don't foresee the re-strengthening of this cell in northwestern Champaign County. Still be some rain and thunder as it carries to the south, but the severe threat continues to diminish with that with due time. Probably by 4 o'clock we'll be done with, I think, warnings on that. If not a little sooner, they may offer to cancel that. And then this storm, we'll see what happens. It's moving east down Highway 24, and we'll stay out of it. The rain starting to end as well in Gibson City and in eastern McLean County, where we're giving all clears now with this storms as it continues on through. Of course, the earlier reports we had, funnel clouds, golf ball size hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds. We will take a peek and see if there's any more damage. If you've got any reports as well, any farm fields flattened, things like that, just let us know and we'll keep you updated on that. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Thanks for joining us on digital platforms. We'll be here at 6 o'clock with more updates of the weather. If needed, I'll jump back on digital platforms earlier than that. But that will wrap up our severe weather coverage here on this Saturday afternoon. If you're getting rain, hope it's just rain and hope you're enjoying it. If you're in the heat and humidity and you like that, hope you're enjoying that too. We'll have more weather updates on the chances for rain and storms tomorrow. I think a better chance for severe weather coming up at 6 tonight. Thanks for watching. Have